Have you ever wondered where autism comes from? How it actually started? In this video, we're going to dive into the science of autism, genetics, and why there isn't really a first person or thing behind autism. And by the end of the video, you'll realize that autism has always been a part of mankind. Before we get started, let's clear something up. There isn't really a single person or thing behind autism. It's not like this person has autism and they're the first carrier of it. And it's definitely not like an illness, like a common cold that you've just caught. And it 100% is not from bad parenting, contrary to what the belief was before. Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition which develops as the brain grows, even before birth. It affects things like social communication, patterns of behavior, and how we see the world, or at least the brain sees the world. But the key here is that autism isn't simple. It's not black and white. Scientists have discovered that autism is a mixture of genetic factors and environmental influence. Think of it like a recipe. The ingredients are genetic, but how the recipe turns out can be shaped by the environment. Now let's talk genetic, because that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. Studies show that between 40 to 80% of autism risk comes from genetic. But here's the thing, there isn't one single autism gene. Instead, DNA can contribute in multiple ways. For example, common genetic variants. These are tiny differences in DNA that a lot of people have. And on their own, they don't really cause much harm. They don't really cause autism. However, when a person inherits enough of them, it can shift brain development in ways that cause autism traits. Then we have rare mutation. These are less common, but it can have a stronger effect. Some affect how neurons, the cells in our brain, communicate and connect, which can shape things like social processing and sensory experience. And then we have copy number variations. This is where entire chunks of DNA is either missing or duplicated. These are rare, but it can dramatically increase the likelihood of autism. So your DNA can make you susceptible, but it doesn't automatically mean you've got autism. Think of your DNA like a blueprint for a house. The plans are there, but how the final house turns out can depend on how you've constructed it and the conditions during construction. So now you might be thinking, if you're saying it's in our DNA, that means it's inherited. So if it's inherited, that means someone must have had it first. There must be a first, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The truth is, autism doesn't begin with a single one case. Autism traits appear when a number of genetic factors come together in a child. Sometimes this happens because of new spontaneous mutations in DNA, so changes in DNA in parents that wasn't there before. Or other times it's simply the right mix of inherited variants coming together. This means that autism has always existed in human history, long before doctors gave it a name in the 20th century. The children Dr. Leo Kanner wrote about and studied in 1943 weren't the first ever children to have autism. They were the first to be recognized. And you can watch my video on that. I'll leave in the link in the description below. So let's break it down as a family tree, just for simplicity's sake. Grandparents may carry low-risk autism genes, but show no autism traits. Parents inherit some of these genes, still no autism traits. Then the children inherit combinations of these genes. One child inherits the same genes, but doesn't reach the threshold for autism. Another child inherits those genes plus a new mutation, which leads to autism traits to appear. A third child inherits risk genes. An environmental factor influences development, leading to milder or different traits. So autism doesn't just appear suddenly from nowhere. It can arise from new mutations, inherited risks, or a combination of both. But genes aren't the full story. The environment, so non-gene factors, can influence how autism shows up. This is called gene-environment interaction. For example, parental environment. Things like maternal health, infection during pregnancy, or exposure to toxins such as cigarette smoke or pollution. It could also be birth complications. So premature birth or lack of oxygen during delivery can slightly increase the risk. And early environment can play a big role. Stress, nutrition, and sensory stimulation in early life may shape how autism traits are expressed. And when we say expression, we mean how strongly traits appear, if they appear at all. So imagine two children with the same genetic risk. One has a smooth parental and early life environment, and they may show few to no traits, and the other may experience more stressor or complications, and their autism may appear stronger or earlier. If we went back to our house building analogy, you can think of the genes as providing the blueprint and the environment shaping how that blueprint is carried out. Same design, but the final building, the final house, looks very different depending on conditions. Now that we've broken it down, autism isn't caused by a single gene or a single moment in history. Instead, it's the result of inherited gene variants, new mutations that can appear spontaneously, and environmental factors that influence how those genes are expressed. And when the combination of these reaches a certain threshold, autism traits appear. That's why you'll find autism looks so different in different people. Same destination, just different pathways to get there. So to sum it up, autism is a complex mix of genetics and environments. Genes create the potential. New mutations can add to that potential. And environment influences how strongly that potential is expressed. And this helps us understand that there wasn't a single autism person at the beginning. It's always existed in human history, and it's woven into the diversity of the human brain, even if we've just recently begun to understand it and diagnose it. And most importantly, every autistic person is uniquely shaped by their own combination of factors that science is still trying to unravel. If this video helped you understand autism just a bit better, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching. Have a great day.